Chapter 22. Please forgive me. Just as Hiroshi finished speaking, Yuna executed a quick roll, dodging Hiroshi's aim and inadvertently crashing into two of her companions. Bang! Bang! Two dull gunshots echoed, and the two burly men fell to the ground, bullets lodged in their thighs. At that moment, one of them, weighing his options, turned and sprinted towards their vehicle. Hiroshi squinted, knowing he couldn't let these men escape. Letting a tiger return to the mountain or failing to eliminate the roots of a problem were both grave mistakes in a post-apocalyptic world. Without a word, Hiroshi raised his gun and fired. Bang! Another dull thud, and the man fleeing sprayed a mist of blood from his back, collapsing into a roadside ditch. Seeing four of their companions fall to Hiroshi, Yuna's face twisted with rage and desperation. Yes, she had felt fear when she saw the gun in Hiroshi's hand, and she had wanted to flee. But human fear has its limits. When pushed to the brink, that fear often transforms into anger and a desperate fight for survival. Today, it's either you or me. I'll risk my life to capture you. Yuna roared, and with a burst of terrifying power, she leapt towards Hiroshi like a hungry tiger pouncing on its prey. The remaining three men, realizing that their only chance of survival was to fight with everything they had, rushed at Hiroshi with a similar ferocity. The distance between them was already short, and now it was reduced to just 2 or 3 meters. Beyond 10 meters, guns are supreme. Within 3 meters, knives and guns are equally matched. Within half a meter, a gun is no more useful than a piece of scrap metal. Seeing this, Hiroshi sprang into action, kicking towards Yuna. I'll teach you to jump at me. Standing at 1.89 meters and burly, Yuna looked more imposing than Hiroshi. But when Hiroshi's kick landed on her chest, it was like being struck by lightning. Her face turned ashen, and she spat out a mouthful of blood. Her sturdy body flung 3 meters back. Smack! Hiroshi raised his gun to aim at Yuna, but one of the burly men on his right roared, brandishing a knife aimed at Hiroshi's abdomen. At this close range, a gun's effectiveness was severely limited, and a slight movement could cause a miss. Hiroshi quickly made a decision. He twisted his right index finger around the trigger guard, locking the safety in place, and gripped the gun barrel in his hand, turning the revolver into an iron hammer, which he then smashed down on the burly man's head. Though this sequence of actions seemed lengthy, it happened in a flash. Bang! Crack! The sound of bones breaking echoed, and the man cried out in pain. Bang! Hiroshi, expressionless, drove his knee into the man's face as he fell, knocking him out cold with blood spurting from his nostrils. The remaining 2 men rushed forward. Hiroshi shot down one, but the other managed to thrust his knife down. Hiroshi couldn't dodge in time, and as the knife came toward his chest, he prepared to deflect it with his arm. Suddenly, a figure leaped in front of him, intercepting the knife. It was Angus. Despite his earlier cowardice, cowering on the ground, Angus had found the courage, perhaps out of guilt or a desire for redemption, to shield Hiroshi. Squelch! A faint sound, like a wineskin being pierced and its contents spilling out, filled the air. The knife slid smoothly into Angus's chest, the tip emerging from his back, tearing through his shirt. Angus looked down, his body convulsing as if struck by lightning, his mouth opening and closing, producing guttural sounds. In extreme pain, a person cannot scream. Don't look! Hiroshi fired a shot, taking down the attacker, and quickly covered Angus's eyes, preventing him from seeing the knife lodged to the hilt in his chest. Scarlet blood flowed from Angus's chest. Hiroshi felt Angus's body go limp, as if all the bones had left him. Angus! Angus! Hiroshi's breathing quickened as he called out. He never expected Angus to shield him from the knife. Hiroshi! I'm sorry, so sorry. Angus's eyes were red, clutching Hiroshi's sleeve. I regretted it last night, but was too scared to tell you. I wanted to live. They took my dad. Blood flowed steadily, and Hiroshi felt Angus's weight increasing. Stop talking. I'll get you to a hospital. Hiroshi, I'm conflicted. I wanted to betray you for a better life, but I couldn't do it. Angus's eyes reddened, tears mixing with blood at the corners of his mouth. After the mutation, our house was robbed. My dad went as so many relatives, but none gave us food. Only you did, only you. Hiroshi's emotions were a turmoil. Angus had betrayed him, making him want to exact revenge. But now, with Angus shielding him, how should he react? Even Hiroshi didn't know. My dad was right. I'm a good-for-nothing. Can't be a good person, and too scared to be a bad one. You saved me, and now I'm giving my life back to you. Angus cried, blood trickling from his mouth. He pulled out a handful of colorful candies and $50 bills, placing them in Hiroshi's palm. These are the candies Juan gave me. So sweet. You're such good people, but I don't deserve your kindness. Hiroshi's hand trembled as he looked at the candies in his palm. I've atoned. Atoned? Angus's lifeless eyes stared at the sky, murmuring, seeming to smile and cry at once. Finally, his body grew cold and lifeless. Hiroshi placed Angus's body down, whispering after a moment, some mistakes can be made many times in a lifetime. Others, not even once. If you make them, you must accept the punishment. You've accepted your punishment. I forgive you. Then, Hiroshi stood, looking at Yuna, who was struggling to get up about 10 meters away. With a steely expression, he said through gritted teeth, Angus has paid. Now it's your turn and your boss's. If I don't skin you and pull out your tendons, I'm not Hiroshi.